Defi Wind, one of the most grueling races in the world, 40 kilometers. It's all about speed, right? Oh, actually, no, because you do need a good start. Without a good start, you could be sitting, not moving, covered by 1,000 riders. You're going to go nowhere. You've got to get off the start line. And I've seen so many people over the years not get it right. Am I the best starter? Well, no, but I am going to give you my sort of starting process and how I approach the start and things I do to help me get clean air off the start line here at the Defi Wind. Okay, so this is my pre-start routine for the Defi Wind 2025. Just having a little bit of a blast before the start, you know, a little bit of a sighter, as they say, just to feel the equipment. Obviously, we've got less than 9 minutes to go. So we're near the beach here. You can see that's Mario Crumple behind me, yes, of YouTube fame. And obviously, he hasn't got the time. He's like, hey, Ben, what's the time? I'm like, oh, go on then, I'll give you the time. It was a practice race, so it wasn't all official, so we just got the time in from one of the boats. You can see all the riders on the left-hand side basically sitting in the water and waiting. And what I heard later is that was quite a lot of the surf centre crew that they'd been told that that was the best way to get a good start, which is kind of what has made me want to do this video, which I'm not saying I'm the best starter in the world, but I'm just going to talk you through, like I said, exactly how I get my starts at the Defi. And I've been, over the years, pretty consistent on good starts. I think I've only had one bad start, like a terrible start. And I forgot one of the rules, which I will come on to in a minute. So this is before the start, like you say. 7 minutes 50 on the clock. This is me and Mario. Just, you know, you can see how busy it is. There's dirty water everywhere, dirty wind in that sense. You know, there's a lot of sails around. So you firstly want to have a little bit of a blast around, get your speed up, make sure everything's tuned up. You can do this obviously a bit earlier than 7 minutes, but it's always nice to have a little bit of a blast just to think, yep, okay, I'm in the zone. So my thinking here is I want to get to the boat. So the boat with the black flag, which we'll see in a minute, is the starting flag. That is where the line is drawn from the bottom, the pin end of the line as they call it, a buoy, all the way to the boat with the black flag. So this is me kind of pinning it towards the start, let's say, just having a bit of a blast. There you go, you can see the start mark. Now that is the upwind side of the start line. And there is another mark all the way down the bottom end, and this is what they call in the Defi Wind a rabbit start, where the boat draws a line from the pin end of the line all the way to the boat, and you basically sail behind the boat. So it's not a traditional start line, and that is a little bit trickier of how you approach this, which we're going to go into. So this is me and Mario, we're at the boat, and my plan now is to basically go from the boat and find a fixed point. Now you can't always do this, but at the Defi Wind, it's pretty amazing because you do have some fixed points, which I'm going to come on to. So the idea now is you sail from that boat. I'm not going full power because this is a Defi Wind. There's lots of people around, but I'm just trying to get an idea of how long it takes me to get to the start line. So I'm basically doing it in reverse. I'm heading from the start line to another fixed point. So I know it will take a certain amount of time to get to that point, and then we can play it back the other way as the start gets closer. So now, you know, I'm not going full speed by any stretch. I'm kind of cruising just to give myself a rough idea of how long it takes to get to that start line. So I'm heading down. You can see there's a few riders around now. It's starting to build up a little bit. 5 minutes 40 on the clock before the start gets to go. So at the moment, there's no buoys in the water. You know, a buoy in the water would be useful. Although we're quite high up in the line now, which is near the boat end, which does get very crowded, which is not really where you want to be in the Defi Wind, especially in the lighter Defi Winds like it was this year, because it's hard to go downwind, especially with lots of riders, and the wind is a bit lighter. So for me, the best bit of the line in the Defi, the easiest place to find pockets is in the middle. So there you see, I just went past a boat. That's a fixed object. That's the finish line. So I'm now checking my watch to see how long it took me to sail from the start line to that boat. I didn't actually look at the timer, but by recollection when I was actually doing it, it was roughly around a minute. So I know if I go half power from where roughly that boat is to the line, it takes about 1 minute. That's useful information. That is information I can use. Because if you'd have just sailed now, we hadn't have done that, and we're just hanging around here waiting for the start, how long does it take to get to the line? You're just a total guess. You know, yes, it's not super accurate, but you know, if you're going roughly half speed towards the line, it's going to take a minute to get there. This is, I can't get across how useful this information is. Without this information, for me, it's impossible. You're not impossible, but it's a lot harder to make that run for the line possible. So I'm just waiting around now. I know I've got 4 minutes to the start. There's no hurry. I know it takes from that boat, which you can see just downwind of me now, it takes about a minute, half power to get to the line. Now, this isn't just a typical start line, it's a rabbit start. So the boat obviously starts at the bottom end of the line and goes up. So it takes, by already looking at videos and stuff, about 20 to 30 seconds to get halfway through the line. I'm going to aim to start halfway on the line, so I know when I'm going to start my approach. That's what I'm thinking in my head, just so you can understand that. What I'm also doing is looking around at this point to see where it's building up. Now, typically at the Defi Wind, on the pin end of the line, right down the bottom end, you will have all the top foilers. You will have some of the fastest guys in the world, all down that bottom end. It's much easier to hit that end of the line because that is exactly on the zero when that boat crosses the line. So it's much easier to hit that, otherwise you have to time the boat. But obviously, as I said before, the best guys in the world are down there. Do you want to be pushing with the best guys in the world and you're going to have a more upwind line to the first mark? Not for me. I'm not one of the fastest guys in the world, far from it. But I fancy my chances in the middle. So you usually have the lesser experienced sailors going up to the boat because it's easy. They usually hang around there, not really moving. And then you have the really good guys down the bottom end. So I tend to go in the middle. But it isn't so important about just going in the middle. You do have to look. Each race is different. There will never be a totally packed line from start to finish all the way down that line. There will be pockets of emptiness. And what I am looking to do is to find one of those pockets of emptiness. So now you can see I've got 2 minutes to go. I know it takes roughly a minute from the boat, and it's probably going to take a minute and a half to get to the line in the middle because obviously it's a rabbit start. So 2 minutes to go. I'm just killing some time. I'm going downwind. Mr. Simon Pettifer there giving me some abuse, which is always good when you see a few of your friends on the start line. So I'm now kind of keeping my eyes around. I'm looking out. I'm thinking, okay, where's it building up? We're getting down to sort of go time. 1 minute 40. I've got to start, jibing around now. I know it's going to be roughly, about a minute, 20 seconds or something like that to get to the line half power. So this is the bit where you've got to use a bit of knowledge. You've got to kind of summarize, look at the situation. So I'm now looking at the line and I'm thinking, you know what? There's a lot of riders up that top end. It's bulging up, it's bulging up a bit. So I'm going to head downwind now. And you can see on the GPS track, on the water speed app at the top, you can see my line. So I'm going quite far off the wind here because I'm looking up there and I'm thinking, if I just go into the pack here, I'm going to get a lot of dirty air. So I'm really going off the wind because I can see a gap. And you can see it actually on the headcam footage here. So I've got about 50 seconds to go now. And I'm kind of, cruising towards the line. I know I'm going to be roughly there or thereabouts. I found myself a nice little patch, and you can see on the GPS, I start to straighten up now. So it doesn't look like it on this shot because, you can't see the levels. But on the head cam, you can see there's a few little gaps. Andy Laufer, I think it is, just downwind of me here. And you're starting to look now. You've got 28 seconds until the boat starts to run up. It takes another 20 seconds, let's say, or 30 seconds to get up to the middle of the line. So I've got to start looking now. I'm looking for that gap. And now you cannot stop moving now. A lot of people go too early, they hold off, and then they can't get going again. The Defi, you have to keep moving. Even if you're moving slowly, you've got to keep moving. And then you have to get the power down before you get all this big bunch here. So you have to be moving quick towards the end, because there's usually a few people stop. So now that's the go, and I'm already now about to go full power. I've got a big, look at that room I've got, massive bit. I could have gone earlier. I look at this start back and I'm like, I should have put the pedal down earlier. I mistimed it a little bit, but just look at the amount of space I've got. I spotted that pocket, I should say, and I'm just blasting in. So I'm a couple of seconds off the boat, which isn't too bad. When you look at the space I've got, I'm pretty happy with that start. You know, it's not the best start in the world. Should have been a couple of seconds earlier, but the main thing is I've got space around me. I've got clean air, you can see. Some of the best guys up there, Geordie Vonk upwind of me, you know, one of the quickest guys. We're probably going to see him powering down in a minute. And you've got the good guys down the bottom, but look at that, nice and space, kind of front row, just a little bit delayed, but I was kind of happy with that start. There we go, Geordie going on, and that's a view from the drone you can see. So, you know, not the best start down the pin end, but I'm in the middle, I've got clean air, and I can fight for the race.